Welcome to Spinal Life Takeaways. These are bite-sized segments jam-packed full of information. And this will be over 3 intense episodes. We're talking about camping versus glamping, and we're going to find out what suits you best. Today we have Jimmy Hammond joining us, my husband and travel companion. And we wanted to share our experiences about traveling all the way to the Cape in tents or our glamping styles and the reasons why we make the decision to do either. Thanks for joining us, Jimmy.
Hey, thanks for joining us.
So when it comes to camping, for me, I know it's about getting back to basics. It's about trying to spend some time with family. What is camping for you, or what was your experience prior to your injury?
It's interesting, camping for me prior to my injury was, part work, part pleasure. It's all about just kind of unwinding, getting away from everything, just having some fun. Going camping now is, for me, more about the experiences and the things that you can see.
So when I think about camping for myself, I think some of the things that I love the most is the places that you can end up. So, away from the city, in some crazy spaces. I know some of the red dirt areas that we've managed to get to. We were talking about camping at the beach all the way up the top of Queensland. There are so many amazing places that you can get to. But outside of that, the darkness, the
quietness,
yes,
of hearing the birds and the owls at night.
But the creeks and the waterfalls and just the ability to be able to explore areas that you just wouldn't normally see. I love that about camping, but I also like the idea of, being able to switch off mobile phones, be able to sort of get back to those basics, to have, limited cooking facilities, limited meal options, not having to run to the shops every 5 minutes because, it's just about having to get by for a week or two and just, really sort of keep it basics. Pack up and pack down, it's just a lot. The more you have, the harder it is. The less you have, the easier it is, but the harder you do it. So, I don't know, it's a tricky one. Okay, so camping is, it's dusty, it's remote, and it's really sort of cutting down to the bare essentials. But what is glamping for you? If you were glamping it, what are you doing?
Glamping for me, I think, is having a bathroom inside of something with a flushable toilet.
Yep, absolutely.
And aircon.
Absolutely. So I think for me, it's probably having, a few activities around for the kids to do, maybe a park or a water park. It's about having, sometimes, it's like, if I can't be bothered to cook, I know there's like an office maybe that, sells some chips or, cold drinks, so you can kind of, you still have access to the amenities and the food service and phone and stuff like that.
Yeah, the full 5-star relaxation.
Yeah, but I know for us, like when we've glamped it, like in our big trailer, we've got a inner spring mattress. We've got just a lot more comfort.
Definitely, yeah.
So when we're trying to figure this all out, we've got to start with a place to go. So how do we know where we want to go? Do you just set your passion and off you go?
I guess, it comes from within. Everyone's got places in their mind where they've always loved to, wanted to go see. I worked up the Cape many years ago and I never ever went all the way to the tip sign. And it was always on my list, always wanted to go there. Never been there. But that's where I wanted to go. Yeah,
I think mine was Bramwell Station. I really wanted to go to Bramwell Station, but I didn't know if it was going to be accessible. I didn't know
how to get there.
Yeah, definitely. Or if they would have toilet facilities or I had no idea. So it's just a case of, setting the emotion towards where you want to go and then figuring out from there, doing your research, finding out if it's accessible, finding out what amenities they have. And building the structure around that.
Yeah, 100%. I think once you've figured out where you're going and where your heart desires to go, then putting all the necessity things into place. Because, even if a place didn't have, all the amenities, it just meant when we go, we just have to make sure that we take what it is that we need.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got the destination. We know where we're going. You know, it's about, the first step is figuring out, who are you taking? Are you taking support workers? Have you got children? And what room do you have in your vehicle to get there? Do you have the tents or the space to be able to accommodate them? But I guess, for us, every time we've traveled differently. You know, we've traveled with babies, we've traveled with teenagers, we've traveled with, 5 people, a full car, all the way down to just having, one baby seat in the middle. So it varies, doesn't it?
Oh, definitely. I think just even when we are traveling, if it's just you and I, we put our own chairs in the car.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're traveling with a full car, that means someone else has to put our wheelchairs in the back of the car.
Yeah.
And when you're traveling on the road, you're constantly stopping. So that's equipment in, equipment out, equipment in and out constantly, So people can tend to get a bit, tired of doing that.
So we need to be mindful of that. We try to be.
Yeah. We need to take into consideration, what everyone's needs are in every situation.
Absolutely. So then you've got, for yourself, I know early on, when we were traveling together, you didn't like to stop, and I made you stop because I needed something to eat and a coffee.
Yeah.
So sometimes
you also needed a bathroom.
Yeah, definitely. So being able to do bathroom stops, food stops, coffee stops, then taking that into consideration with the people that you've got on board, making sure that we can all get along and keep our needs all met.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point, because even when you're traveling with people, you're now with people in a confined space for a long period of time. So trying to make sure everyone's happy.
Yeah, good old family holidays. So after figuring out the destination and the people we're taking with us, we really start to get to the nitty-gritty side of things. This is where, if I'm traveling because I want to get back to basics, but now I'm thinking I've got so much equipment, with my disability, what equipment do I need? What is the minimum of what I can take, and how am I going to feel comfortable as well? So when it comes to equipment, what are some of the things that you absolutely have to travel with?
I suppose now that we've figured out the destination, you kind of get to figure out what are the things that you do need to take.
Yeah.
For myself, if we're going somewhere warm, my must is a fan, because I can't get too hot. So I need a fan.
Mm-hmm.
Whether we're going somewhere that has a lot of walking tracks, are the walking tracks, okay for a manual chair to get around?
Mm-hmm.
Or am I taking a power chair?
Yeah.
Is there a shower? Is there not a shower? Are we taking the hot water system?
Yeah. So we're looking at what our destination provides, and then checking and balancing against what our needs are. So we obviously need to have a shower, but we do need to have either a shower bench or a shower chair. Is that something that's provided? Do we need to take our own setup? So what we're doing now is we're building through the grey areas of what's not provided and what we need to bring versus what the minimum is for us to travel with.
Yeah, completely. I think in the end as well, it makes the picture even more closed. You see what the picture really is once you've started figuring out all the necessity items that you have to take.
Yeah, absolutely. So if it doesn't have air conditioning, you're definitely packing the fan. For me, I can't get cold. So I need to make sure that, I travel with a decent blanket. It's little things like that make it worthwhile.
Well, I know for myself, just even on the road, my must is tools, to make me feel comfortable, I need to know that, if we get a flat tire, that if we're stuck in the middle of nowhere with no phone service, I can't get anyone on the UHF, that I can't leave my family stranded there. I need to be able to change the tire myself.
Yep.
So, I can't jump on a breaker bar so I make sure that I take a rattle gun, that I take, air compressor, my jack I can jack up with the rattle gun.
Yep.
I to make me feel safe, I need to know that, I'm able to just about do everything.
And I think some of these are built from experience of being able to, maybe not start with the hardcore camping first, but, when you start getting back to basics. You start realizing these little things. So then when we were able to do this Cape trip, we were like, yeah, of course we're taking this, and this, because they are absolute musts.
Yeah, I was. You were more like, why do you need all these tools?
Well, you have to take into consideration the weight.
Yeah.
The weight of things. You know, if you're taking a power chair, then, you know, is your trailer weight rated for those types of things, plus everything else that we're taking. Skin integrity is so important, and especially when you're out camping, I absolutely have to take my travel cushion so that, you know, I'm not getting sore while we're driving.
Camp chair.
My camp chair. Like once I'm out of the car, I like the ability to lay down by the fire and hang out with the kids as well. So making sure that we've got that kind of stuff.
I've also got a little like potbelly stove
Yeah.
that, you know, has legs so it's off the ground. So it's the same as like, you know, cooking on a fire. But because I can't reach the ground anymore, it's got it raised up, so then that way I'm able to reach it.
So it's about knowing where you're going, making sure you got, you know the people that you're taking with you. And it's about that disability first. Like, you know, if you're packing the equipment that's specific to your disability, then you're able to know that you're safe. And it doesn't matter where you go. You know, we found a few places on the Accessible Australia app. You know, we went to some places to be able to find out whether they were accessible. They had accessible bathrooms, and it's actually really interesting. You know, there's so many places that were really quite remote that I found really accessible with boardwalks and accessible toilets. It was really weird.
Definitely. I think, you know, like it's becoming more and more accessible everywhere. And you're right, like, you know, with the app, people leave reviews and photos and show, you know, their experience. So it kind of makes it a little bit, you know, calming to know someone else with a disability has been there.
Yeah, and what their experience was and how they were traveling. So then you can kind of preempt whether that's something you're going to be able to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So we've done all of the planning, but how do we know? Are we camping or glamping? Which one should we be doing?
I think, you know, now that we've got the whole picture of everything, we can decide which one fits and which one doesn't, you know. Like going up the Cape, you know, we came to the realization this is the equipment we're taking, so we can't take the caravan, so we need to be taking tents.
And I think too, like, you know, earlier, like a few years ago, you had a new injury which gave you a whole new set of complications with your own disability.
Definitely.
So then we had to start, we chose to go glamping at a place that had everything. They gave us an opportunity to try and sort of minimize stuff without putting you in a position where it just made you sort of come undone and think, I can't do this.
Yeah.
So we want a place where you feel safe. So we create that safe zone.
Yeah.
But if everything goes wrong, we have all of those safety nets for us. And then from there, you can start tearing away. And I think that's how we went from, you know, a big 4 holiday park to the Cape. You know, we started working down from that.
Also deciding, like, what are you getting out of this? You know, like, are you just wanting to kick back for a day and look at the stars? Like, you know, throw a swag in, you know, or you wanting to just live life large and be out somewhere, you know, then go glamping.
Yep, definitely. Okay, so join us for our next episode. We're going to be talking a little bit more about the nitty-gritty details of camping. Thanks for joining us this one.
You're welcome. Thanks.